Right, welcome back. Today we're going to be looking at how to make images colder, more moody, and just a little bit more cinematic in Photoshop. So we're in Photoshop, we've got our image here as it came out the camera, and we're going to start with a vignette, which you've probably seen if you've watched my previous videos, just like an opaque border around the outside to sort of draw attention to a certain subject or create it a more moody atmosphere. So to do that, click your adjustments, click gradient, and then if I make mine visible, you can see the subtle effects it has. And to do this, once you click gradient, you just click reverse, click radial here, so that'll be a drop down, and go to radial. And if we click just in here, if I make this 100% visible, you can see what that does. So if I turn off reverse and turn it back on, that's essentially what that does. The tabs across the top, as previously mentioned in other videos, are opacity, and the tabs across the bottom are colour. You want this end to be no colour, so it's see-through in the middle. You want this end to be a dark colour. You might not, you might want a different colour. That's up to you. And then that's the sort of effect it has. The next one I'm going to run with is photo filter. If I make that visible, you can see I have chosen it to essentially make it look colder, more cinematic, like I say, because that is essentially the aim here. Again, to access that, adjustments and photo filter, then you'll come across something like this, and then essentially just select the underlying main colour you want to run with. So if it was warm, you might select an orange, for example, but for me, because I want it to be cold, I've selected like a light blue. And then if I slide this up and down, you can just see how it starts to affect the image more or less. I think I had this at like 35 or something. Just set that to however you want it. Then the next one, as you've probably seen me do before, if you've watched previous videos, is selective colour. Essentially, it allows you to make colours more vibrant in a specific hue. So if you had blues within an image and you wanted them to be quite purpley blues, you could essentially do that with selective colour. If you wanted it to be a more true blue, same with any colour really. So if I make it visible, you can see the difference it makes. Again, adjustments and the first one there. And then if I go into here, you just scroll through. Say in your image you want to emphasize the blacks, so you click black in the drop down, slide up black. Let's say, like me, you want to emphasize the blues, go on to blues and boost up the cyan. It's all down to whatever your image would be, but I advise mess around and see what your image comes up with. But again, to make it colder like mine, go into blues. You typically want cyan to be quite prominent in your neutrals as well. It's usually more sensitive, so maybe not as much, but it's up to you. Boost your cyan, that'll make it colder, and take a bit of the blacks out so it's not so dark and it's a little bit more, you know, the whites come out a bit, which I think makes it colder as well. So that's just for you to mess around with, but yeah, like I said, within the blues, make your cyan quite prominent. Within the neutral drop down, reduce the blacks, but that's just for you to have a mess around with. The next one is going to be a LUT, make that visible. That in this made quite a nice difference. So to access that, we just go here again, and then colour lookup, and then select a LUT. If you don't want a LUT, then don't do it, but a LUT's basically a filter you can apply. So look, there's loads of different ones as we just scroll through here. And I would personally advise you to reduce the opacity here so it's not overbearing, but you might not want one at all, or you might want it to be quite prominent. That's up to you. I'm pretty sure I had this one. And then the next step I did, I created a new layer, this one here, which is this little icon there, and then if I make it visible, it's quite subtle, but if you look on the back of the coat there, you can see the definition in the crinkles and the creases in the coat are more sort of prominent, and I just wanted to emphasize them, emphasize the sort of shadows within there. So all I did was made a new layer with that, got my brush tool, selected my color, so I did it in a black. I didn't make it, as you can see, very visible at all. I only had it at quite low opacity. And then if you just zoom in, you can kind of just add some more detail to the coat by just drawing it in. And you can do that with a variety of textures and things you might want to mess around with. And then the last one, as you can see here, I had to make a bit of an exposure change, but that's barely noticeable. And if you want to look at how I used a mask here, then by all means check out my video to do with using masks and getting just the basics, so you can only apply adjustments to certain areas of an image. Okay, and then if I go back to the original image, we can see how it started off. but if I make all of the adjustments visible, we can see how it ends up. Much colder, much more cinematic, and creates an effect that I was looking for there. So that's it. I hope you could take a few things from this and put them towards your edits in the future. Like I've said in my previous videos, and I'll continue to say it, this isn't about me telling you how great I am and how I know everything when it comes to photography. It's more about sharing some creative ideas and a bit of a process, a bit of a journey between me and you. So let me know below any ideas or recommendations you've got going forward, or for that edit you've just seen. If you want to check out my other videos for other tutorials and things like that, then by all means do that, and subscribe so you can see future shoot days and tutorials and whatever this channel might bring in the coming future. I hope you enjoyed. My socials are below, or you can just search at Shots from Joe, that's for Instagram, Behance LO. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you soon.